Hello and welcome to this session. So repeat session. So I hope all of you are able to hear me and you are able to. Hello. Yep. So I hope all of you are able to hear me, and we will quickly run through the session details, all the topics that we have covered. And in case you have any issues, just put it in the chat window. I'm monitoring the chat window constantly. So welcome to all. So just put it in your chat window if you have any queries, and we will be responding to it. So this session is about advanced Microsoft Excel, and we will be taking you through the fundamental things and the basic things of advanced Excel, and the main topics that we will be covering is basically based on the backstage view of Excel and how do we work with it. And primarily we will also be talking about the different options of how to work efficiently using Excel. So let's immediately start off with. So So in this particular session, we will be focusing on these topics. So mainly, I'm sure that you are all aware of the file types that are supported by Excel. So the main Excel supported file is your Excel SX, which is an Excel workbook. And then we have something called comma separated value, which is CSV, and macro enabled workbook also is we call it Excel SM file. And we also have something called XLAM file, which is for add-in files. So these are the primary files and the primary extensions of files which are supported by Excel. CSV is a comma separated value. So all your files which are like huge data sets that you download from the internet, they are basically in the format of CSV. And then we have the Excel SM file. So if you have any enabled content in your Excel file which has got some macros or some programs written, then that is actually saved as a macro enabled file. So if you talk about Excel 2013, then these are the things that are not supported. So primarily it does not support the Excel 2.0 chart, 3.0 chart and other formats. And Excel 2013 does not support Lotus 1, 2, 3 formats. So WK1, WK2 and all these WKS formats are not supported. And then Microsoft Works, DB, DBase 2, Quattro Pro and Quattro Pro 5.0, 7.0. These versions are not supported. So if we move on to the Excel main, like talking about how old is Excel and all those things. So mainly Excel is actually almost around 30 years old as of now. So primarily it all started in the year 1985, but that particular version was for Macintosh. That was for Macintosh. And eventually what happened when Excel launched its Windows version, that was in 1987. So 1985 was the first version of Excel launched, and 1987, as you can see on your screen right now. And since then Excel has published almost around a particular version in every couple of years. So today the version that we are using, the stable version, what we call, that came into picture in February 2013. So that was the 15th version. And before that, we had certain things like related to Excel, the naming conventions, mainly the convention that Excel is still following, the 4-year digits. It came actually from the 9th version of Excel, that is Excel 2000. So just we will take you through those particular things. So this is what the earlier Excel looked like. So the DOS versions of Excel, which earlier days we had this, so we had floppy drives and all to load these Excel spreadsheets basically. So this is the earlier version. And the first Excel version that came in 1987 November was actually it looked like this. It had got all the basic capabilities, and we used to do it using floppy drives, floppy disk majorly. And this is the older version, means I mean the first version of Windows. And Excel today is something like this. So today's Excel has the capability to actually connect tables, and we can actually create relationships between the different tables, and we can create data models primarily. And then it also allows you to create dashboards in Excel right now. So Excel is capable of creating dashboards as well. And Microsoft says that if you have got any data which has got some significance related to geographical location, city, and all those things, then it can also plot your data directly on Bing servers. So this is your Excel, today's Excel, the 2013 version of Excel, which is there. It is a stable version, the last version. Okay, so let's go and explore it, like what all we have got for Excel. Quickly we will see. Now when we open Excel, this is the first screen that we get. Now in this particular screen, if you see, this screen is actually like the first sheet, and we have the menu ribbons, menu tabs, all other things are there. And primarily this particular sheet is capable of holding data, and to like different several sheets you can add, and you can add several rows and columns. So if you want to go to the last column, so we have some shortcuts definitely. So if you simply say control and down arrow, it takes you to the last record. Similarly, if you say control and home, it takes you to the first cell. If you say control right arrow, and if you again say control home, so it can navigate. Now apart from this navigation, we also have options to go to a particular cell. So if you see this name box, which is a very useful thing. So let's take an example that you want to go to a particular cell, let's say AB500. So immediately you can simply type here AB500 and press enter, and it takes you to that particular cell, AB500. At any point of time, if you want to come back, you say control home. So that part is absolutely fine. Now there are other things that your Excel is also capable of doing. So the main the major part of Excel, the control panel we say of Excel, is actually there with this particular option which says file. If you go to file, you have different options. We do have the options to see the account as well. So if you go ahead and see the account, you will see that your Office is Microsoft Excel is actually 32-bit. Usually it's a 32-bit one. And then there are other options also. We can actually import and export data directly from Excel. So those options are also there. But predominantly in this particular session, we will be talking more about the options tab. So mainly we have this options tab here. So which allows you to actually control the Excel sheet, Excel panel. Now let's just have a look at these options. We have general, so general related all your general options that are available. We have something called formulas. So formulas is something related to your regular Excel data. Then we have proofing, and we have advanced option as well. So language and advanced. So something like this, we have got different options. Customized ribbon is actually used for controlling this Excel version, and quick access toolbar. So we will talk about all these things in details as we move forward. So add-ins is also there. We will be using the add-ins as well, and the trust center is mainly for the macro settings. If you have something in active content, though, you will use the trust center. So how smartly we can use Excel, so that will be the major focus of this particular session. So let's begin and understand how do we use Excel to facilitate data analysis and other objectives. So understand one thing, the architecture of Excel that we have today is that the top of Excel is actually something called application. And then we say that an application comprises of something called workbook. A workbook comprises of something called worksheets, and a worksheet comprises of something called range. So whatever we see right on the screen is a range actually. So even if we click on a particular cell, that is also a range. Even if we click on a particular range like this, so this is also a range. So if you talk about a cell, or if you talk about a range, or even if you talk about a sheet, for all of them you can actually control the various parameters, various options. So let me just show you certain things. So let's take an example that we know that if you simply type here Jan, or for that matter, let's say I'm just typing here January. If I just simply say January and pull it like this, so you will see that automatically the month name comes. So this is a very regular option and a natural thing that we usually do in Excel. However, apart from these names, so I understand and I know that these are actually a part of an existing list, what we call, that is there in Excel. So if that is the thing, so this means that we are aware that okay, fine, if I just type Jan or January, it automatically populates this particular option. However, there are other things as well. Suppose let's take uh, things like, suppose if I say here, suppose a city, let's say Goa, and if I simply drag it like this, now this is coming from the same place. The logic is also same. However, the options are different, like I have created. So this you can now understand that this is not something that is coded with Excel. This is actually part of a list. So what we can do actually is we can definitely create a list. So let me just show you how we have created this particular list there. So we go to option called file, and in file we have an option called options here. If you go to options, and if you go to the final option which is there, it says advanced, you can scroll down to the bottom of the screen to find out something called edit custom list. So whatever we have seen, those city names and those month names and other things, those are all a part of actually custom list. So if you simply click there, you will see that all your lists are there. So you can see here different lists. So some of the lists you can see that they are non-editable, like this Sunday, Monday, Saturday, and all these things, the June, January, February, these are non-editable. So these are actually added as a part of a list. However, there are other options also. Let's say I have created a list of cities through which that list is coming in front of you. And I have created a list of, let's say, names, some fruits, and something like this. And if I want to create a new list, let's say if I want to change this, I can do this. If I say that I want a new list, so automatically if you click here, it comes as a new list. And let's say I'm just creating a list for some cities, some international cities, let's say like this: Dubai, London, Sharjah, Singapore, and then Tokyo something. So just like this, some names of some international, like other cities, um, something like this. So you can just create some um, city names, and the moment you say add, if this particular name is coming to this left hand side, this means that the city has been added successfully. So once it is added, if you simply say OK, this list is there, and if you simply say OK, the list is there. See here, if I simply type Cape Town, doesn't matter that I have to start from the first. If you just type any one of these options, and if you click and stretch, you will see that the list is actually visible here. Now this was the first thing that we wanted to show you, that this is a smart technique how to add some list or columns or rows. So definitely what we are going to do, let's say I'm just about to create a table around this. So let's say this is cities, and we are creating a list here. So let me show it to you. Now often what happens that whenever we make a list, or if you want to make a table, so often we find difficulties in putting the numbers. So Excel has given us a very good function to put down some random numbers. I will just explain it to you how it works. So there are two functions mainly. If you simply type RAN, you will see that two functions related to rand is there, rand and rand between. So both are actually functions which can generate random numbers. So random number generation is not a new concept. So it is there in all the applications. It is there in all your what you say, your software. So it is available there. So definitely whenever we talk about this particular detail, so you will see that. So if you simply say rand is actually a function. If you just open and close the bracket, rand is actually a function which generates a random number between 0 and 1. So if you just say equal to rand and open and close bracket, if you press enter, you will see that it has generated a random number between 0 and 1, which can be converted into a percentage. So basically rand, we can say that it is there to populate a random fraction number. Now apart from rand, there is another function called rand between. So rand between actually is an extended function of rand, and it can take two parameters, bottom and top. So bottom and top, if you see, so basically it is the lower limit and the upper limit. So I say that I need numbers between 10 and 50. If you simply say like that, so if you simply click like that, 10 and 50, and press enter, you will see that a number is generated. Now the moment I select this particular data and say Control D, Control R, so you can see that the numbers are populated randomly, and this is actually a part of something called volatile functions in Excel. So volatile functions, this is a special category of functions which triggers automatically. So see here how it triggers. Automatically it will trigger. Anything you do in this particular sheet, it will trigger automatically. So this particular function, so let's say it was just used to populate some random numbers. Okay. Uh, so in case you have any issues, please put it in the chat window. I will be responding to you. So just put it in the chat window if you have any issues or any queries if you have. So this rand function is a category, special category called volatile functions, which is used to like it automatically triggers. So let's say there are other functions as well. So when we go into other modules, we will learn about these volatile functions in depth. So right now just have a look at this particular function. So right now when the purpose is done, solved, let's say I have got the numbers very instantly, then what will happen, you can just click on this option. You can simply say control C and paste values, and automatically you will see that your numbers have been pasted. So now our idea was to put the numbers, and the ultimate objective is to make you understand something called the references. So what are references actually? So references allows you to actually work with the functions or the formulas that we have in Excel, and it allows you to go back and forth and then um, take different places and different addresses in your cells and in your formulas basically. So based on the details, so we have actually two major types of references. One is your relative reference, another one is your absolute reference. So relative reference means that we say it, there is no dollar in that particular reference. And if you say absolute, this is just the opposite. It means all dollar. So no dollar and all dollar. These are the two different types of references. I will explain you straight away. So if you just click in this particular place, and let's take an example that I would like to have sum of all these numbers here, whatever we see in, let's say in January. So if I just wanted to have a sum, I can simply say alt and equal to. So there are a list of like what we say shortcuts. Excel supports of more than around 200 shortcuts. So as a part of reference material, we will be sharing you all those shortcuts, so you can go through that, practice that. It is all about practice. The more you practice, the more confident you will be in terms of viewing or using this particular shortcuts effectively, and it is definitely going to save your time and make you more productive. So once you just say alt and equal to, automatically you see that the sum function is activated, and you can also see that it has taken a range. Now this range is actually a relative reference. The moment you press enter, you will see that this particular formula has worked, and you can actually view this directly over here. So let's see. Now what happens, let's take an example. We would like to take or copy this particular formula in other places. So if I simply say copy, so why this references is required, I will just explain it to you. Let's take an example. I want the summation of this January month in some other place. So let's say if I just take copy it and I paste it somewhere here. If you simply paste it, what happens? It gives me 0. However, if I simply copy it and I paste it here, you see that it gives us a reference error. Now understand what is the difference between these two. When we had copied it from here and pasted it here, automatically it is searching for a particular range which is above that particular cell. So you can see it is searching for those cells, those references, but it is not finding, hence giving us 0. However, so here you understand the reference is there, the position or the cells are there. However, it could not find numbers there. So that's why it was showing it as 0. If you talk about this particular formula, here what is happening is the reference for error says that actually there is no cells above it, and hence it is giving the reference error. So there is no cell to refer for creating the sum function, hence it is giving the error. So just a moment. Okay, now how to resolve this? Now this particular formula, what you see is a output of a relative reference. So understand this, we have written a formula. So what is the difference between formula and a function? We say that whatever we write in Excel using equal to will be termed as a formula. However, uh, whatever we do as a part of, let's say, if you just call it as a like let's say you are calling this sum function, average, mean, max, and all these things functions. When you are calling it, so that will be actually termed as like using a function within a formula. So whatever we do is a formula, and for writing a formula we might be calling some function. So that is the major difference between a formula and a function. So a formula comprises of functions, so it may or may not comprise of function. So when you talk about formula, the whatever we are using functions, and whatever reference, whatever range we are using, that range can be either used as relative or as absolute. Everything, if it is dollar, that becomes absolute. Anything where no dollars are there, that becomes a relative. Let's take an example. How do we actually copy this and paste it somewhere else? So let's say this is an error. How do we resolve this? If you double click and if you select this particular range and press F4, you see that everywhere dollar 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 is coming, which signifies that everything is a, like, it's a full-fledged reference. So actually we would definitely call it as an absolute reference mainly. So if you just press enter, nothing has changed of the output. However, if you copy and paste it somewhere else, you can see that the same output is coming. So that is the major purpose or major utilization of using a particular reference. So if I simply say that, okay, fine, I want a formula to be written, so it comes up like this. If you press alt equal to, even if I say that I need to copy and paste this formula, so it also happens perfectly. So the problem is not here, because what is happening, it is relative. So if I copy this, paste it here, automatically it takes this range. Even if I copy and paste it here, it takes this particular range. So that has got no problem. So till the time we are in the same alignment of whatever formula or functions we have used in the first instance, there is no problem with Excel. The problem arises when we change our position. So let me make you understand what do you mean by change of position. So here also Excel is smart enough. So if you simply say that alt equal to, coming to this particular place and say alt equal to, it understands that it has to be summation of the rows and not the columns. So these are all examples of relative references in Excel. Now here what happens, you need a particular from like a particular reference to maintain. So that, let's take an example. I say that there is the summation of June, but instead of this place, what happens if I just copy and paste it here or copy and paste it here? So I want to change my formula in such a way that wherever I place the formula within this particular range, it should actually give me the same answer. So that is my main objective. So what I will do, let's say I will just open this particular formula, highlight this particular cell. The moment you press F4, what happens? It converts from relative to absolute, all dollars. But we are not here to put everything as dollar, but because what will happen, the column and the row, both of them will be fixed. Now, what we are looking for is actually going to like, we want things to actually change when we move the columns. So directly, if you just look into this, after this, if we press F4 once again, you will see that automatically it has given us another reference. Now this particular reference is not completely relative, not completely absolute. This is a mixture of both of those particular options. So what we do is, like, this kind of reference is known as mixed reference. And mixed reference is like, we have partial dollar, we call it partial dollar. So In some places, either in row or in column, there will be having a dollar symbol. So based on our requirement. So now what happens, this particular function, this particular formula that we have written using the sum function, it is flexible. So if I simply say copy and I even paste it here, it works. Even if I paste it here, it works. So it gives me the same output. However, if I just put it over here, or if I put it over here, or if I put it over here, or if I put it over here, it gives me all absolutely correct answers. Similarly, now what is happening here, every time if you just press F2, you will see that the column is changing but the row is not changing. This is what we wanted, and this is achieved by the concept of partial dollar, or we call it mixed reference. So this was the major use of dollars over here. Now apart from this, if you go to our uh, row section, so here the formula is something different. We have the column and the row, and if we select this, then what happens, we can actually create a different option altogether over here. So once if you just press F4, it changes to absolute reference. You press F4 again, you see that it becomes a partial reference. So in column you don't have the dollar, in row you have the dollar. So this becomes a partial referencing. Now what happens if you look into this particular option directly, you can see that here the row is fixed, the column is not fixed. This is what we don't want. We again press F4. The moment we press F4 once again, we see that dollar comes in front of the column and row is absolutely free. So here what happens, we have the row and we have the column directly over here, and given the syntax over here, we can directly say that it is a partial reference, and it is absolutely called as a mixed reference, not an absolute or a relative. So if you press enter, now what we can see, that same cell, if you just copy and paste it somewhere else, or if you paste it somewhere else, or if you press it somewhere else, so the same function, it works absolutely fine. So you see, Control V like this, so automatically you can see that it works absolutely fine. So we have functions and data all together in this particular sheet, and now what happens is that once we have got this particular file, so at time what happens, you open a file and you see that there are some data, and it looks there are some formulas also in this particular sheet. Now at any point of time you want to find out the formulas, you would like to check, like double click and see, okay, this is a formula, this is not a data. If you double click here, nothing happens, so this is a data, not a formula. Now these things can be done instantly in Excel. So if you go to formulas, so we know that, for let's take an example, if you want to enter this formula, there are several ways of entering it. We can either go to home and say auto sum, that also works. If you go to formulas and if you go to insert function, that also works. If you click on auto sum here, that also works. And if you see here, different functions are there. So most recently used financial functions. So if you click here, you can see all the list of all the functions. So if you just take your cursor, it shows you the actual usage of that function. So you can see, let's say sum function, what is the usage? It adds all the numbers in the range, something like this. Now at one go we are not able to view all the formulas and functions. We have to see individually, but there is an option. There is an option in the formulas itself. There is something called show formulas. The moment we click on show formulas, automatically what happens, it displays or like shows all the formulas that are there in this particular sheet. So definitely what we can do is we can start looking into the formulas and see how it works. So if you want to suppress the formulas once again, you can click on show formulas. This is the toggling option. Directly you can toggle between the formulas, mainly show formulas. So right here. Now there's a shortcut also for the same purpose. If you simply press Control and the grave accent sign, you can see that the same function occurs. Control and grave accent sign. See, show formula, it works absolutely fine. So there are other options as well to evaluate formula. We will be talking about all these formula related functionalities in Excel in the upcoming modules. Now at times what happens, like you have got a sheet which has got some formula and functions, and you so for showing the functions or showing the formulas, we had a very simple way of doing it, using show formulas. But let's take an example that we have other options as well. So we just wanted to check or see that which are the places through which this formula has been generated. Or in other terms, if you just wanted to see that what is the root of this particular formula. So directly what we can do, we can go ahead and click, and directly if you go to formulas, you see something called trace precedent. If you click on trace precedent, you will definitely see that it has come up with a range, and it has come up with this particular formula. It says that okay, this particular cell, this particular formula, the range is this one. So similarly, you can click on any one of these particular formulas and say trace precedent. It shows you all the places from where the formula, the data is originating. So something like this, something like this. So immediately it shows. Now after we have seen that okay, these are the formulas and these are the places from where the formulas are generating, you can simply say okay, remove arrows, and it works absolutely fine. However, there are other factors as well. So if you see here, the other factors talking to the functionalities. So once you see that okay, if you have a function, if you just wanted to check like which are the cells that are responsible, you can directly go to trace precedent. The other way around if is that, let's take an example. I want to see that which are the formulas which will be affected if I change this number called 37. So that is another way of looking into a particular formula or particular data. So I say that okay, if I change this particular formula, what all if I change this value, what all formulas will be changing. So there you have an option called trace dependent. If you simply click on a value and say trace dependent, it will actually show which are the places or which are the formulas which will be affected if you actually make a change in these cells. Always remember, trace precedent is for checking the roots of a particular formula, and trace dependent is actually there to see which all formulas will be affected if you change this particular cell. So there are two options, trace precedent and trace dependence. We had some queries, and if you just don't want to show it, you can just simply say like this, remove arrows. We had some queries where we asked, like we were asked that is it possible that we can show this precedence or dependence from other sheets? Yes, this is absolutely possible. So let's take an example. If you go to another sheet and I say that the same function, let's say sum, and I take this particular details, let's say, and if I simply press enter, so it gives me the same output. Now keep staying here, if I say trace precedent, so what happens, it actually shows me that this particular formula is coming from a particular sheet. This is not the current sheet, it is some other sheet. So if I simply click on this arrow, it takes me to that go to option. If you say go to and say OK, it takes you to that particular screen. So this is how it works directly. So you can go to that particular place. So here this particular symbol denotes that the data is coming from some other sheet. If you remove arrows, the same thing happens over here also. And now look at this fantastic thing. So if you just click on this particular cell, and if you now say that, tell me which are the formulas which will be affected if I change something here. So if you say trace dependent, so can you see something very interesting? So it shows that this particular formula, this particular formula, this particular formula, and this particular formula will be affected. Apart from that, there is one more formula which is there in another sheet that will also get affected. So this is how your trace precedent and dependent works. It's a like fantastic feature that we have in Excel. So at any point of time, if you simply say remove arrows, it works directly. So this is just a glimpse of the most important features of references mainly. So let's do one thing. Let's go to an exercise, and I'll just show you how this exercise actually works. So you can also try it at your own pace. If you go to exercise 01, you will see that there is a place which is asking you to make a multiplication table based on these numbers. So if you see here, these numbers are actually, let's say, from 1 to 10 directly, and optionally, if you see that if the objective is that if I just want to push a formula over here, and if I simply copy and paste it in this particular region, it should give me a multiplication table of 1 to 10. So I know that definitely I have to write a formula like equal to A3 into B2. So this is the primary thing that I have to do, A3 into B2. Now A3 into B2, if I just write, it will not suffice, because if I then copy and paste it, it will change with all those parameters and it will not give me the exact number. Now what I am looking at is that while using this A3 and B2, I have to actually freeze certain parts. So what do you mean by freezing certain parts? So you will see that if you talk about A3, so A3 is column A and row 3. So what I want that when I move on the right side, this A should not change. But however, when I move down, this 3 should change to 4, 4 should change to 5. So if you want to freeze A, then simply put dollar in front of it. That's the thumb rule. And on the other hand, for this B2, similar kind of things will happen. So if you simply say that when I come down, this 2 should not change. But when I go right, this particular B should change. So the moment I click here and put dollar, you see that it comes as A3 and B2. The moment I press enter, it gives me the answer. I click here and I put it in that particular table, and now if I say Control D, Control R, automatically your data is filled up. So directly we can see that the data is filled up over here. So this is just an exercise that you can also try. The objective is to just make a multiplication table over here. Okay. Now let's get back to the next topic, which is related to protection of data. So protection of data is actually done in 2 levels in Excel. So always understand that one thing what we have to do is actually uh, formatting the cells. So like which all cells you want to protect, you have to format it properly. And the next part is definitely putting a password. So putting a password and formatting goes hand in hand in Excel. So directly, if you see here that this is a particular sheet, and let's take an example wherein I just want that this particular range I want users to edit. So I'm just putting it in bright color so that you will understand. So what I'm looking for is that users should not be able to edit the entire range. They should only be able to edit the range that I have put it in or marked in yellow color. So, and moreover, what I want, this particular cell and this particular cell have some hidden, some very restricted formulas. So I don't want my client or my users to see what formulas I have written. So just for example, I'm just taking. So what happens is that, or let's say this particular place also. So these three cells are the cells which we don't want users to see even the formulas. So then what we can do, we can actually apply protection on this formula on this particular sheet. Now if I simply say that I want to protect what are the steps you see here carefully. Protection works in 3 or 4 different steps. The first step of protection is that we have to select the entire sheet and lock the ensure that it is locked. The entire sheet is locked. How will you ensure? You simply right click and say format cells. The moment we go to format cells, we see here there are various options. You have to go to protection and ensure that this locked option is checked. If the locked option is checked, this means that the entire sheet is locked. So you say okay. The next option is that we have to ensure just the opposite thing, that this particular range should not be protected. So what we are going to do, we will select the entire range, right click and perform the same activity. We say format cells and say unlocked, because we want to give permission to this particular cell range. So we say unlock and say okay. Now these are the two things that we have done. The third thing what we want is we will click on these three options or three formulas. We want it to be hidden. So just click on these three formulas, right click and go to format cells, and there with the lock you say hidden as well and say okay. Now even after you have changed the format, even you have made the hidden and all these things, still it does not work. The reason why it is not working is that we have changed the formatting, but we have not changed or we have not applied the what we call the password protection. So always understand it works in two phases. Once you have locked it, and second thing is that you have to password protect it. So how do you password protect? You go to review. So until and unless you put the password, this protection will not come into force. So now you go to review and say protect sheet. The moment you say protect sheet is asking for password. So you just say enter a password. It is asking for the password again. So if you say okay, now the sheet is protected. If you simply try to do anything, it will not allow you to update this particular sheet. On the other hand, if you come to this particular place or this particular cell, let's say if you change the number, you see that it allows. And not only that, you will see that look at this particular cell and look at this particular cell, the numbers will change. The moment you press enter, the numbers will change. However, the moment I click here I'm not able to view the formula. So this is the benefit of protecting the sheet, which is a very useful feature in Excel. So directly we can actually protect a particular cell or a particular sheet like that. Now apart from sheet protection, there is something called workbook protection as well. So let me show you what is workbook protection. So workbook protection actually goes one step ahead. So workbook protection means that, okay, fine, you can actually restrict the person from uh, adding a sheet, deleting sheet, those all things can be done. Now apart from that, Excel also allows you to protect the file and put a encrypted password. So for that you have to go again to the backstage view, click there and say encrypt with password. The moment you say encrypt with password, so go to backstage, go to protect workbook and say encrypt with password. The moment you say encrypt with password, it is asking for a password. You say give a password and say okay. It is asking to re-enter a password. You say okay. And then you actually see the details over here. So directly we have, yeah, the protection is absolutely here. Now if you click, so now if I just save the file, let's say I'm just saving the file, let's say I'm just giving it a name, let's say just my file, I'm just giving it and closing the file. Now if I try to open this file, automatically it should ask me for a password. The moment I put a password, it opens. So it works, and we can see that it also have like password on sheet level and also have password on protection level. So now there are two things that we need to understand. So I have got so many queries which says that um, they have actually got into, like, they have changed the password, but now they don't know how to remove the password. So like every time they open the file, they get password protection mainly. So if you simply go here, now see how to remove the password. If you simply go here and if you go to encrypt with password, see how I say that you just go here and remove the password. The moment you remove the password and say okay, it works. So if you save, if you close, if you close the file, if you save the file and close it, it actually opens directly over here without any password. So these are the benefits, like you can protect the sheet, you can protect the file, those all details you can actually put and use it. So now we are just moving towards the final section of this particular session, the demo, the first module, that will be related to import and export. So that is again a very important thing to understand in Excel. So let's see if we close the file. Now import and export. So if you just open an Excel, so I will just explain you what is import and export mainly. If you open this file, so directly you can see that we have different options, and from here there is one option called data. Now Excel allows you to actually gather data from different sources, and there are different options from access, from other text file, from web, internet, and everywhere it is possible. Now XML is another type. So what we are going to do in this particular small exercise is that we will import data from XML, and we are going to export it into some other type mainly. So directly what we are going to do, um, we are going to import certain thing and export directly. So let's see how it works. So first of all, let me search for some XML files in my system. So if you simply go to my computer, and if you click here and if you just search for start.xml, let's say start.xml stands for like all XML files. So you will see that all XML files are coming. Now I'm looking for, see, I need a file which has got a good amount of data, and whichever I open, so it should give me an XML uh, kind of details, like it should be in a tabular format, it should be like in a proper database, what we say. So I'm searching for such a particular kind of file. Now I remember that there are some files which are related to profiles, which we can actually use in this particular case. So I will simply search for this profiles.xml. If I just search for profiles.xml, you will see that actually it will give me an output. So why I have chosen this particular file is to show you how XML files usually look like and how they can be transferred into like other formats. So now there is no direct method of converting a XML file into, let's take an example, a text file. So there is no direct way of doing it. And so now what happens is that I have got this particular profile, and I just copy and paste it somewhere here. So if you open this file, you can see that directly you have, you can see that so many different like tags and all these things are here, and like this. So it's a big file. So now what I want to convert this file into a text file. So there is no direct method of converting this particular file into text file. So what we can do is we can take help of Excel over here. So what we can do, this XML file we have seen, it's just a tagged file. If we go to Excel and if we go to data and say from other sources, there's an option called from XML data import. If you click on this from XML import, you go to desktop, you simply click on the file and say open. It is giving you a message which says that the specified source does not have a schema, and if you want Excel to create that schema, is that fine? So you said okay, fine. So you go ahead. The moment you say okay, it is asking where do you want to keep your file. So I said that I want to keep my file here. So the moment you say okay, so automatically your data comes, and you can see that this is actually a replica of whatever tags and whatever XML files you see here. All these are in a Excel format here. So here you can directly see, here we have the XML format, and if you go to Excel, we have the Excel format. So our objective was that to convert this XML to text. So Excel is acting as a medium here. So after we have converted this data, it is absolutely possible to change anything. Like if I want, I can change the format, I can change the design, and all these things are possible. Now our objective is to convert this and export. So this was the import process. We want to export it into some other process, other format. So what you do, you go to File, and there is an option called Export. The moment you go to Export, it has got different options. So one is related to PDF, and another one is related to some other change file type as well. Now actually what happens the moment we directly give this particular option, so um you see that PDF and other options are there. So I'm not interested in converting it into PDF. um, you simply say change file type, and directly we give and we see that there are all the options are there. So here, from here, that particular file can be exported to different formats. So let's take an example. If your client is not having the recent version and they are still using, let's say, 97 version or 2003 version, then you can also save or export this particular file in backdated version as well. You can also save this file as a open office file, which is open document spreadsheet. For binary also, if it's a large data, you can convert it into binary format, and a macro file, template files, and we are interested in more in this CSV format mainly. So directly, if I say that I need to get into this particular text format, so if I say that, okay, I need to convert it into text file. So it's so simple. You just click on the text file. If you simply say save as, it is asking for the place. So let's say I just say that, okay, I will save it here. Let's say profiles, something like this, profiles. So it says that the moment you say profiles, it says that, okay, some of the features will not be available. We agree to that. Why? Because you cannot expect this filters and designs and all these colors and borders and everything to be there in a text file. So these options, table formats and all these options are not possible to be stored in a text file. So it is asking whether you would like to go ahead with the format. I say yes. The moment I say yes, automatically it creates a text file. So now if you go to our desktop, you see that profiles has been created. So you can see this was our original XML file, and this is our ultimate text file. So this is our Excel file. So this acted as a mediator between these two types of files. So which was actually used. So like this. So XML to text via Excel. So this is how you convert your data directly. So this was all about the first module. This was just a gist of whatever we did, and actually whatever things we conducted in the first module. So these were the topics actually. So if you have any queries related to this particular topic, please put your queries in chat, or else you can like note down these queries also for tomorrow's session. So tomorrow at 10 o'clock we do have the same, the continuation of this particular session. We will be focusing on something very interesting. So mainly we will be focusing on if conditions and conditional. We will be talking about how to master conditions, and we will be definitely talking about some of the data validation and formatting techniques. So if you have any queries, you can make a note of it, and then we can actually take it tomorrow when we start up this particular session. So hope this session was beneficial and helpful for all of you. So any queries, any feedback, any suggestions from participants who are attending this? This particular session is also being recorded at the moment, so this will be available to you as a recorded session, and you can access it and look into the exercises and other things and work on it. So if you have any queries, so tomorrow we can just take up those queries and move further. So lot more things, so many other modules are coming up in these 5 or 6 sessions that we have in 2 weeks. So I look forward for all of you to join this particular session and take advantage of the topics and the deliverables that I have. So if we don't have any queries any further, we can just go ahead and close this sessions. Thank you all for joining this session. See you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Until then, goodbye.